Alright, so I'm going to start the project. This is my new Warn gas tank skid plate. Comes with a very big box. It's a very big item. So here on the Jeep, if you've seen my other videos, we have got some significant dents down here underneath. And we beat this thing up pretty good last Jamboree, so we're going to pull this thing out. Not too difficult. We've got a few bolts across the bottom here. You got three of them. There's two long ones that hold the straps, and then there's three of them up along the front. All right, so one of the first things we got to do is pull this, release this gas cap here. I think I'm going to pull this apart. There's a bunch of screws underneath the cap here, and that releases at least that one particular hose. So when you go to drop it down, at least it's not hung up. There's a few others we got to do too. All right, so I took up the license plate. You can see you got, what is that, 6 little nuts on there to pull off. All right, so we got all the nuts removed out of there. That's nice and loose. I've got my jack set up underneath here with a nice little board to kind of help balance it all. With that giant dent, it's not laying exactly flat, but we'll see how that goes. And so now I'll remove all those bolts and we'll drop it down, and we'll have to disconnect a few more lines, but shouldn't be too tough. It'll give us a little room as we bring it down. Alright, so now to prove that everything doesn't go as planned, here's where I sit right now. So I got it unbolted. The really hard thing is this hanger right here, that's for your exhaust hanger, is in the way. The tank goes above it, and so it gets hung up on there. And then you have the fillers on the other side, which are sitting right on top of the frame here. So you have to drop one side down first. I had to use a crowbar to pull that out of the way a little bit, drop that side down first. Now I'm just about ready to get the rest of it down and I can get the thing out. But my word, there was so much crud jammed into the edges of that plate that I didn't really realize how bad it really was. So fun stuff. All right, so now I got pan out. You can start seeing, this is the rubber little liner in here, and it is just full of debris. And then we'll get that cleaned up. That's what's left of the pan. A little bit wet. And it's going to gas up. Definitely rusted out. Here it is, tank installed into the new skid plate. So you do have to jimmy a little bit to get this out, and you have to disconnect this disconnector, which sits kind of over near these, and then these are your two gas lines. These tuck up underneath the frame rail. Just unscrew those and pull those right out. I guess technically you could disconnect these, but then I'm not sure how you'd get them reconnected once you got to put it back up inside there. So we got the straps back on, so it's all strapped into the tank. The straps really, all their point is just to keep it from sliding around, keeping it centered. And so now we'll lift it up and get it installed. All right, so you have the two, the filler and the big vent coming out of the tank there. I finally had to just take them off. I was originally trying to leave those on, but just you can't really wedge this thing in there very well between the exhaust and the suspension and get that in. So I just took it off. And a good pointer is, if you have not done the 15-gallon to 20-gallon change, which all it is taking out this vent pipe and pulling it out, cutting it off, and sticking it back in. I did this a long time ago. Apparently I chewed it up pretty good when I did it, but this is a good time to do that. All the tanks on YJs are 20-gallon tanks. They're all the same tank. They just changed the vent so that some people had 15, and then I don't know, they charge you like $200 for a 20-gallon tank, and they pull that piece of plastic out. All right, so there's no way to do this with just one jack. So I had to break out my other small jack here, because you got to lift up the passenger side, get that up above the exhaust, and then you can get this side in with the fuel fillers and scooch it over and get that in. And so you got to tilt it, and there's just no way with the weight of this thing, you just can't hold it. So all right, so I'm all done. So it's up in there. Doesn't increase your clearance at all. It gives you some about maybe 3 to 4 times thicker, heavier. It cases it all the way around on all 4 sides. Should give me a heck of a lot more protection. Oh, the other thing is that the tank, which did have a bit of a dent in it when I first pulled it down, it just eased itself right out. So just in the time that it was down and had the old pan off of it, it eased right out and leveled right out. So it's back to normal. So overall, I think it's a pain in the rear end project, more difficult than I thought, especially when you consider that that pan is, I don't know the exact weight, maybe 50, 60 pounds. It's a lot to move around while you're laying on the ground. So an extra person, extra set of hands, the 2 jacks, that kind of thing, all make a big difference. But now I can go bang it around some more and not have the same problems.